Christmas, the season of light, joy, and warmth. But every light casts a shadow. Behind the glow of tinsel and laughter, there are stories that stain December red. They say tragedy doesn't take a holiday, and sometimes Christmas Eve becomes the darkest night of all. Tonight, we unwrap a true story. A story about a man who came dressed as Santa Claus, but carried something far deadlier than gifts. This is the Covina Massacre, a Christmas Eve that ended in fire. It was December 24th, 2008. Covina, California, a quiet, sunlit suburb tucked outside Los Angeles. A neighborhood that looked like a Christmas card, lawns glowing with lights, candy canes lining driveways, inflatable Santas bobbing in the breeze. Inside one of those homes, the Ortega family gathered for their annual Christmas Eve party. 25 relatives under one roof, grandparents, uncles, cousins, friends. The air smelled of pine needles and tamales. Wine glasses clinked. Laughter rolled through every room. Children darted between legs with sparklers and wrapping paper. It was warm, familiar, safe. The kind of night that reminds you what home feels like. But outside, parked quietly down the street, someone was watching. A man in a Santa suit, his car idling, then cooling in the night air. Inside sat Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, 45 years old, aerospace engineer, churchgoer, clean-cut. To anyone who knew him, he was ordinary. But behind that red velvet and fake beard, something inside him had already broken. At 11:30 p.m., the doorbell rang. 8-year-old Katrina, Sylvia's niece, ran to answer it. When she opened the door, she froze, then squealed in delight. Santa! Neighbors later remembered that laugh. High, innocent, and brief, because seconds later, it turned to screams. Sound, gunshot, glass shatters, chaos erupts. Bruce Pardo raised a 9mm handgun. One shot tore through the little girl's face. She fell bleeding, crying, but alive. Inside, confusion turned to horror. People thought it was a prank. Fireworks, maybe, but the smell of gunpowder spread through the house. And in the doorway stood Santa, holding a gun in one hand and a large, wrapped box in the other. He stepped forward, calm, mechanical. No words, no hesitation. Then he started shooting. Beat, gunfire echoes, screams overlap. He targeted everyone he once called family. His ex-wife, Sylvia Ortega, her parents, her brothers and sisters. In less than 2 minutes, 9 people were dead. The Christmas tree shimmered in the flicker of gunfire. The warmth of laughter was gone, replaced by smoke, panic, and the echo of bullets. When the last shot rang out, Bruce dropped his gun. He placed the gift-wrapped box on the floor and tore it open. Inside, a homemade flamethrower. He'd built it himself using a high-pressure sprayer and racing fuel. He aimed it at the Christmas tree. One pull of the trigger and hell opened up. Sound, roar of flame, crackling wood, screams. The fire consumed the room instantly. Curtains ignited. Wrapping paper burst into sparks. Glass shattered under the heat. From the street, neighbors saw orange light flickering through windows. They thought the Ortegas were lighting fireworks. But by the time firefighters arrived, the entire house was an inferno. Bruce Pardo wasn't born a monster. He'd once been described as kind, polite, intelligent. He'd worked for Jet Propulsion Laboratories, the kind of man neighbors trusted to fix a computer, not destroy a family. He met Sylvia Ortega at church. She was warm, social, full of life. He was quiet, reserved, dependable. They married in 2005. For a while, things looked perfect, but beneath that calm surface, cracks formed. Bruce wanted control. Sylvia wanted peace. Arguments turned to silence. By 2008, the marriage was over. Sylvia filed for divorce. She got the house. He lost custody. He refused to pay spousal support. Friends said Bruce had started to isolate himself. He stopped showing up to work. He stopped talking to friends. He spent long nights in his garage tinkering. Weeks before Christmas, he ordered handguns, built a flamethrower, bought a plane ticket to Canada, an escape plan. He even rented a car under a fake name. The Santa suit wasn't for disguise. It was bait. He knew the children would open the door for Santa. That was how he would get in. By the time firefighters controlled the blaze, the Ortega home was gone. Only a blackened frame stood where the laughter once lived. Inside, 9 bodies, so charred they were unrecognizable. Investigators found melted plastic, fragments of holiday lights, the faint scent of gasoline and pine, and among the ashes something strange. A half-melted Santa mask, a twisted metal canister that had once been the flamethrower, and inside what was left of the red suit, $17,000 in cash, melted to the fabric. Police soon pieced together what happened next. Bruce's plan had gone wrong. When he fired the flamethrower, the fuel splashed back, igniting his costume. The red velvet fused to his skin. He suffered third-degree burns. Barely able to move, he stumbled out of the house, his body on fire. He drove 30 miles north to his brother's home in Sylmar. Around 3:30 a.m., police received a call, a gunshot. Bruce Pardo was found dead from a self-inflicted wound. Next to him, his second Santa suit, scorched and blackened. When detectives searched his car, they found a chilling discovery. A second homemade bomb rigged to detonate if moved. Inside his home, they uncovered maps of the Mexican border, another weapon stash, and detailed notes. Plans for more attacks. Had he not been burned, the massacre might have continued. His Canada ticket was still in his wallet. He'd planned every step, the timing, the escape, even the disguise. But in the end, his own fire turned against him. When dawn broke over Covina, the scene looked like a nightmare. The Ortega house was gone, reduced to black ash and twisted metal. The neighborhood was silent except for the hiss of fire hoses. 9 family members were dead. 3 others critically injured. One of them, the 8-year-old girl who opened the door, would survive scarred, but alive. A teenage girl who'd hidden under a table told police later. He didn't say a word. He just smiled. Another survivor swore she saw him pause before lighting the fire. A flicker of hesitation, gone in a second. Maybe, for a brief heartbeat, he remembered who he used to be. But by then, the man was gone. Only the monster remained. Covina woke up to horror on Christmas morning. News helicopters circled the smoke-blackened street. Reporters called it the Santa Massacre. Neighbors gathered, sobbing, holding candles as police carried bodies out on stretchers. Every year since, on December 24th, the city holds a candlelight vigil. The Ortega house was demolished. The lot remains empty, a silent scar no one wants to build on. But some say the fire never really went out. Locals tell stories, faint whispers and strange sounds near the lot late at night. A flicker of red light in a window that no longer exists. A single jingle bell echoing down an empty street. One woman claimed she saw a man-shaped shadow in her driveway, red-suited, still watching. When she looked again, it was gone. All that remained, was a soot mark in the snow. The Covina massacre wasn't a random act. It was the story of a man who lost everything and decided the world should burn with him. A man who dressed as Santa not to bring joy, but to disguise his rage. 9 people gone, dozens scarred forever. A city haunted by a single night. It's a reminder that horror doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it hides behind a familiar face, smiling for a family photo, standing quietly in church pews, or waving from across the street. That night, the spirit of Christmas turned to ash, and one man's fire erased generations in minutes. Soft piano plays, minor key silent night, because evil doesn't take holidays, and sometimes the monster at your door is the one dressed in red and white. If you think evil only visits in the dark, remember Covina, where Santa came not with gifts but with fire. And if you hear bells tonight, don't be too quick to open the door. Beat. If stories like this keep you awake, you might not want to turn off the lights. Every winter brings the same storybook scene. Children laughing, snow falling like tiny ghosts, 3 snowballs stacked into something smiling and harmless. But in one quiet corner of Vermont, the snowmen don't melt when winter ends. They move. It was the first week of December 2019 when Claire Whitman, a travel nurse from Boston, drove through the twisting back roads of Black Hollow, a mountain town so small it barely existed on any map. She wanted silence, a break, a place where the only sounds were her own breath and the wind. The cottage she'd rented sat alone on a wide, frozen field, its roof blanketed in snow so thick it looked like icing. And right there, already waiting in the yard, stood a snowman, perfectly built. 3 flawless white spheres stacked with uncanny symmetry. A red scarf, a black top hat, a smile made of coal, and the eyes dark glass marbles pressed so deep, they seemed to follow her as she parked. Claire laughed softly. "Cute welcome," she said, but the longer she stared, the more wrong it looked, as if the face had been made by someone who'd never actually seen a human smile. That night, she lit the fireplace, made tea and sat reading by the glow. The storm outside thickened, wind howling low and constant. And then she heard it, a sound cutting through the storm. Crunch, pause, crunch, footsteps, slow, heavy, circling the cabin. She froze, listening. The clock ticked once, twice, then silence. Only the wind remained. She told herself it was a deer. Still, she left the fire burning till dawn. Morning light poured through the curtains, and her breath caught. There were 2 snowmen now, one where it had been last night, and another closer, maybe 6 feet from her porch steps. No footprints, no drag marks, just smooth, untouched snow all around them. She blinked, heart thudding. Maybe someone built it overnight? She snapped a picture and sent it to her sister with a text. Black Hollow has secret snowman fans. LOL. By noon, the radio crackled with a storm warning, a blizzard moving fast. "Stay indoors," the voice said. Just before sunset, a thud hit the wall, a soft thump like a body leaning against wood. Claire stepped to the window. The second snowman was gone. Only a trail of melted drops led up to the glass. The next morning, a sheriff's truck pushed through the drifts. Sheriff Harlow, gray beard, thick accent, looked at the snowmen and frowned. "Locals make 'em every winter," he said. "But sometimes folks wake up and find 'em facing the house." Claire half laughed. "Creepy art project?" He didn't smile. Old-timers blame a miner. Jonas Black died out here in '57 when the mine collapsed. They say when the new road cut through his grave, he started wandering again. Looks for warmth. He tapped the brim of his hat. If one of them faces your window, don't go outside. Claire watched his truck vanish down the hill. The world went silent again. That night she dreamed of a man made of ash and frost, pressing his face to her window, whispering in a voice, like ice cracking on a pond. It's cold outside. When she woke, her window pane was fogged from the outside, and drawn in the frost, a handprint. By the third night, the storm hit in full. Wind roared. Power died. The fire sputtered low. She pulled on her coat and stepped out for more wood. The air was strange, thick, glowing pale blue. The first snowman was toppled now, its hat half buried in the drift. And beside it, footprints, boot prints, leading from where it had stood, back toward the house. Her pulse hammered. She stumbled inside, bolting the door. Phone flashlight on. She swept the beam across the windows and froze, a face pressed against the glass. Not made of snow anymore, but of melted ice, twisted and dripping. Black pits for eyes, a grin of frozen flesh. It moved. The light flickered. The fire went out. And then silence. Hours passed. She huddled by the cold fireplace, blanket tight around her shoulders. The radio hissed to life, though the power was still out. Through the static, a man's voice murmured, "You left the door open." The doorknob turned. Once, twice, then stopped. The boards creaked, soft, deliberate steps across the floor. She gripped the iron poker, whispering to herself, "It's not real. It's not real." The wind slammed the shutters. The lights flickered once. When she dared to look again, the window was empty, but water dripped from the ceiling. Steady, thick, smelled like iron. She followed the sound, trembling. And there, on the wall beside the window, the frost had reformed, spelling two words, "Let me in." When the storm broke, rescue crews reached the cottage. Snow 6 feet deep, door frozen open, fireplace still warm, coffee mug half full, but no Claire, only her footprints leading out into the field. They ended at a tall, solitary snowman. This one wore her red scarf. Its eyes were brown glass marbles. The report said exposure. Locals said otherwise, because when the thaw came, they found 2 pairs of boots fused together, inside the snowman's base, and her phone, still recording. The final seconds, a faint heartbeat beneath the sound of wind, and a voice whispering, "It's warm now." Some stories melt away when spring comes. Others stay buried just beneath the frost, waiting for the next snowfall to wake them. If you ever rent a cabin in Black Hollow and find a snowman already built outside, don't touch it, don't move it, and whatever you do, don't look it in the eyes after dark, because sometimes the ones left out in the cold just want to come home.